Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. Hope everybody is having an unbelievable day. It has been a whirlwind of a month, the last 30 days for yours truly. But you know what? As I always say, I'm still standing, I'm still breathing, so I'm still in the fight. And I am pushing forward and I am getting things done. I am immensely excited about the work I'm doing on so many levels. My goal is to leave an imprint in this world that says I came and I helped people change their lives for the better. And that's my work. My work is to help people heal, help people grow, help people expand their reach, empower people to do the things they're literally designed to do, but have never explored. And so I'm in a very exciting time in my life. And I am built for the challenges that I face. So I'm in a good place. But look, um, I want to talk to you about something. And before I forget, don't forget this Saturday is the Crushing Limiting Beliefs Masterclass. I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot today because we're on a different topic, but Crushing Limiting Beliefs Masterclass, please enroll. If you enroll, you're automatically going to be entered into a drawing where two people would win a $10,500 platinum package to work with yours truly for a year. You don't want to miss it. Plus, if you're having any issues with pushing forward and getting things done, I guarantee you somewhere in your subconscious are limiting beliefs that are holding you back from moving. And I'm going to teach you how that works, why it works, and what you can do to change it, how to change it, get you set up and move forward. You don't want to miss it. And again, even the 18 people or so that don't win, but I'm trying to keep it around 20. We have maybe 5 more openings. I see, I think another person signed up today. But look, whatever happens, get in there because 2 people are going to win that, and everybody else is going to be offered to have that same $10,500 package at 90% off that day during that class. So it's an opportunity to really get uh, some help in some areas you need in immediately, but also a chance to work with yours truly on an ongoing basis, one-on-one. And I tell you, I get things done. If you're invested, I'm invested. It will happen. On that note, I'm going to move on. Um, Let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever attempted to use an instrument to accomplish a task that it wasn't designed for, or you used an instrument or a tool that was designed for a task, but it was broken? And even if you got the task done, it took a whole lot of extra effort and energy. It wasn't efficient. It wasn't done exactly the way it needs to be done, using a shoe for a hammer, for example. Well, that frustration that you're seeing when you're attempting to use a broken tool to accomplish a task, it's the same thing that happens when you have emotional trauma or psychological trauma that you have not addressed and you have not healed. There's something broken on the inside on multiple levels, and emotionally, physiologically, mentally, and even spiritually there are inhibitors that are in place. Emotional and psychological trauma isn't just about having your feelings hurt or being in a situation where you see something terrible. It's about a changing of your physiology. It's about a changing of genetic makeup. It's about upregulating certain genes and downregulating certain genes. We call it epigenetics. We know a lot about epigenetics. We know now that epigenetically, that every time you experience a trauma, there's a tag that's attached to your DNA write-up. And what happens is this tag, in many instances, is washed away through meiosis. Meiosis is the cellular regeneration of your reproductive system. Mitosis is the cellular regeneration of the rest of your body cells. But meiosis is a process that is different in the reproductive system. So meiosis is the recreation of new cells. What the thing is when a male and a female come together and procreate, the ovum becomes 23 chromosomes from the male, 23 chromosomes from the female, making up the 46 chromosomes that we all have as humans. But in the passing of that, nature, God, the Almighty, the Most High, designed it to where a lot of the negative experiences that were literally genetically imprinted can be washed away. So a lot of genetic tags are washed away, but the most emphatic are not. We learned that by studying the Jews when we found out that uh, Jewish kids who weren't even alive during the Holocaust and had never been told completely and distinctly about certain atrocities were literally having dreams about being there. They literally had that passed down genetically. That was the first part of epigenetics. And I studied this when I was studying the transmission of multi-generational trauma in blacks. And so what I found out though is it's far deeper than that. That's on the front end. On the back end, every experience you have is having an epigenetic influence, whether positive or negative. People in good environments, positive environments, are literally going to be more healthy. People in negative environments are going to be less healthy. And what we find out is negative environments, negative experiences upregulate genes, upregulate cancer genes, upregulate other diseases, autoimmune diseases. These genes that are there are upregulated. Other genes that stop certain sicknesses from happening are downregulated, and an individual develops cancer. Individual develops uh, lupus, and we can go on down the line. But it's directly associated with your environment, what you're experiencing in life, and it's really distinctive in children. There are these things we call adverse childhood experiences, the better known as ACEs in our world. ACEs are anything that negatively impacts a child at a level that uh, it leaves an imprint. So we know that parents divorcing and separating is an ACE. We know that neglect and abuse is an ACE. We know that a parent who is addicted to a controlled substance or alcohol is an ACE. Um, Physical sexual abuse, and there are a number of others. And so every last one of those ACEs counts as a point. When you get 4 ACEs, you're 12 times more likely over the course of your life at some point to attempt suicide. You're 5 times more likely to develop ischemic heart disease, the number one killer in the world. You are 4 times more likely to develop type 2 diabetes. And I can go on down the line of how a childhood experience can negatively impact you in your physiological health. Now, this doesn't even deal with your sociological issues of you trying to navigate a world that expects a certain behavior and a certain type of interaction, but you have these imprints within your psyche that literally are triggered. And people who don't understand trauma think that it's just a memory, or people are just having flashbacks. No, it's not a flashback, it's not a memory. What it is it's a reliving of to what that person a real threat. When you have a traumatic experience, it doesn't mean that you're traumatized. Some people are not traumatized by traumatic experiences, and that has a lot to do with your trauma threshold. Not going to get into that now because we're pressed for time. But for people who have gone through a lot, who have been through a lot, already have a lot going on, they're going to be more easily traumatized because they have worn down to their trauma threshold. A person who has been healthy and in a strong environment are more likely to be able to withstand one traumatic event where someone else may not. But regardless, if you become traumatized, if it actually traumatizes you, what happens is it imprints within you, but it does not move into what we would normally call a linear timeline in your memory. In other words, when something happens today, tomorrow when you wake up, you remember it, but you remember it as something that happened the day before. And what does that mean? That means it's already happened, it's in the past. Whatever's happened has happened. Well, in traumatic memory, that linear makeup, or where it's integrated into your linear timeline, doesn't happen. So when you actually have that memory, it's happening again. So it is an immediate and current and present threat. So this is what happens when you're trying to cultivate relationships and you're over in a place and you just flip out and people don't understand why. It's because you're not remembering, you're reliving. You're having the same smells, the same taste, the same physiological feelings. If you broke out into a sweat, then you're breaking out into a sweat now because you perceive it to be still a threat. There has to be work done and healing done as to go into um, the cause for what you're having to deal with. You're going to have to really work at and understand what you're going through, why you're going through it, and you're going to have to do the work to integrate it into your linear timeline so it becomes a memory and it stops being an immediate threat. And that takes time, but there are a bunch of different ways to do it. Uh, One of the things that I do, I work on two ends of the spectrum with my clients. On one end, we're talking about healing. We're talking about healing trauma. We're talking about using um, uh, very non-conventional methods many times. I have been immensely successful. I have been one who has said I work predominantly with African Americans, and the reason I do that is because I understand and I believe, along with Dr. Naeem Akbar, Dr. Joy DeGruy, Dr. Howard Stevenson, and the late Dr. Amos Wilson, that the African American experience is so much different than any other experience of people in this particular culture, that our psychology is not going to be the same. And what we have to understand, so much of our psychology is our experience, our lived experiences, and how they have impacted us, and the mindsets, the paradigms, uh, the identity, the self-image, all of that stuff that make us up is different. And so we have to literally deconstruct what the Eurocentric idea of psychology is and reconstruct it to fit the African American experience, which is even different than the African experience or any other experience in the diaspora. And it's extremely important to understand that. And I've spent years understanding and learning and being able to connect with people to make that happen. But what I can tell you is there's so much out there for you to do. There's so much that you need to be able to do in this world, because you weren't meant to sit here and survive, or sit here and exist, or sit here and struggle because of something that happened to you in the past. You're sit here to be an example of what's possible when you decide to put in the work and heal, when you decide to sit up and do what it takes to change your situation, because things are going to happen, unfortunately, and far too often. And I've talked about this in great length. It's happening to our babies. It's happening far too early. But what happens is people who are traumatized tend to traumatize other people. People hurt people hurt people. It's the reality of it. It's a cliche, but it's real. And it doesn't have to be intentional. It's more than likely reaction. It's reacting to their reality. It's reacting to their situation. It's reacting to poor paradigms that have been created that says this is what happens when you do this. We're looking at a situation right now in Brooklyn where a woman beat her 9-year-old daughter for 2 hours, and then this baby begged for help until she passed away. And you can look at this mother and there's nothing there. Well, I guarantee you she wasn't born that way. Somebody didn't protect her. Now, this isn't a pass for what she did. She's got to be held accountable for that with every ounce of what we have. We have to hold people accountable for what they do in the community. But let me explain something to you. You keep failing people, eventually that comes back to bite you. I've been talking about the need to properly racially socialize young Black males. Why? Because and if you don't properly socialize them, they're more likely to drop out of school, more likely to go to prison, more likely to become violent, more likely to be domestically violent, and less likely to be socially affluent, financially affluent, and so many other things that are so necessary for the men in this community to be functional and to be in a specific role that we need them in. And I can go on and on and on. But whether you are regardless of race, if you need to heal, you need to heal, because you're not helping your house. And to me, it all starts with the house. If I can't be who I need to be for my house, I can't be what I need to be in the world. And so if I'm not healing, if I don't have the capacity to heal, if I and healing is two things. Healing is dealing with what's in the past to become whole again. Why do I need to be whole? So that I can take the next punch, because it's coming. We don't live in a world that we are void of struggle, void of problems, void of disappointments, void of pitfalls and obstacles. They're coming. They're a part of the process. They're a part of the equation. But if you're not prepared because you're already beat up, you're not prepared because you haven't put in the work and healed, you're not prepared because of all the things that you've been through and you have not yet dealt with, when that next punch comes, that might be the one to take you out. We are looking at a situation now where there is a almost 50% or 49% increase over the last 6 years in suicide successful suicides of young Black males between the age of 15 and 24. There's a reason for that. We are now um, in a situation where in two statistical categories for minors, we're leading. We're leading in suicides, ages 5 to 11, ages 10 to 13. They cross over, they overlap those categories. I don't know why, but 5 to 11 is the highest, then 10 to 13. And the crazy thing about those, predominantly female, our young Black baby girls are killing themselves because we're not doing what we need to do to protect them. And we're not understanding the dynamic of the social environment they're in and how it's influencing them. And we are in some type of vacuum where we believe because we are African Americans, we don't have to deal with suicide. Suicide is becoming a major issue. We're losing far too many of our youth to something that is preventable in almost every case. This is something we've got to look at. We've got to talk about that too. But whatever you're going through, there's something out there for you exceptional. There's something out there for you extraordinary. There's something out there for you phenomenal. And the thing is, you need to be at your best to have it. You need to be at your best to do it. You're sitting up and you're probably frustrated. You're wondering why things don't work out for you because you haven't put in the work. You haven't done the work that's necessary for you to become and do the things you need to do. So I'm encouraging you to stand up and be what you need to be and do the work. What you'll see in the description box down there are, yes, the link to this Saturday's Crushing Limited Beliefs in that, because I want you to sign up for that. I've already spoke on that in the beginning of the video. If you haven't heard it, go to the beginning of the video. But also there are two links in there specifically. One is for healing emotional and psychological trauma self-paced course. That's me. You get the course and you do the course on your own and you put in your work and it works. And the other is for a supported course. That means you do the course, but you do it with me. That is the preferred and recommended method. Have a professional, somebody that knows what they're doing, walk you through it, help you, because that's some things that you have going on that you don't realize, some things that are happening that you can't get to. You don't even know it's influencing you. And it's influencing your every move, your decisions there, and you don't know. And you don't understand why, and you're moving, and it's frustrating. Why I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing this? Why does this keep happening? And it's a reason. Nothing is just happening in your life. It's no such thing as coincidences. It's no such thing as happenstance. Everything is a reflection of your thought processes. Everything is a reflection of how you move, how you think, what you believe. And your negative influences, the things that have hurt you in the past, if you haven't dealt with them, are still influencing how you move in the future. You wonder why you can't cultivate and sustain a relationship. There's a reason for that. You're going to have to learn to deal with that. You're going to have to learn how to become that person that's whole, that can trust again, that person that's whole, that can love again, that person that's whole, that can be loved. And then you're wondering why you're so beaten up and downtrodden because of it. You may not even have the confidence to go out and move on something that can really change your life financially. Why? Because self-confidence has been infected by the trauma. Your self-image is going to be reflected in your your self-esteem, your self-confidence. So if something is wrong with the self-image, there's an issue. So that's where we start. We reconstruct the self-image, not based off of your circumstances or your situations, not based off of your history, based off of your design, based off of what you're capable of doing, what you were designed to do, based off of your purpose and your destiny. We find ourselves in that. We rebuild your self-image off of that. Then when the self-image starts to expand, so does your self-confidence, so does your self-esteem. All of a sudden you start to square your shoulders. All of a sudden your head is held high. All of a sudden there's the smile that you haven't seen in months. That's one of the most beautiful things I get to see. And I've got a client that I got that out of for the first time last week. And it was a thing. And they had been through so much that they couldn't even smile. They had been through so much that they couldn't smile. But the beauty of seeing somebody find hope, and the smile is a representation of so much. And if you can get a person to smile, you're taking them somewhere, you're leading them somewhere. My goal is to get as many people to smile in this world. I mean, authentically smile for man. Something is getting better for me. And that's what I want for you. If you know there's some things that you need to do, or you know someone that really truly needs the work, you can do the self-paced course, very affordable, or you can do the supported course where they work with me. And that is affordable considering what, I normally charge for my packages, but I want to help people. That's my thing this year. My goal was 1 million people. So I'm doing videos, I'm doing books, I'm doing lectures, I'm doing classes, I'm doing everything I can. But every chance I get to work with somebody one-on-one, oh, that's explosive. That's literally dynamite. That's something that I know I'm going to put my hand on it. When I put my hand on it, I'm not just going to affect their lives. I'm going to infect them. One of the most powerful ways to change the world is to infect someone with what you know is going to empower them. Now, what's the difference between affecting is I do something and I impact you. Infecting you is touching you with what moves me. It's literally being contagious with my faith, contagious with my joy, contagious with my confidence, contagious with my hope, contagious with the perseverance and the resilience. So that when I infect you, it doesn't just change you. You go out and now you're contagious and you start to infect people. And I'm changing lives of people I never met because I infected you with hope, infected you with passion, infected you with the belief that you can do something extraordinary. You can do something exceptional. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. And so I would love to see you. And finally, there's a lot going on. So I've got a lot saying this finally. For those of you who are in a good space, but understand the importance of this, you could always support what we do in the community at the Odyssey Project in the area of mental health. And the link to do that is in there. Also, the organization's Cash App handle is in there to support that directly. But if you need work, the first place you have to start is with you. You need to work on you so that you can be an influence on others. On that note, I'm going to get out of here, get ready for my next client. You guys have an unbelievable day, and I will be checking back at you. As I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on E. I'm challenging you to do the same thing. Live your life on full. Don't take that potential to the grave. Don't take that gift to the grave untapped. Leave that work done out here to change lives even after you're gone. I tell people all the time, the first half of my life was about me, showing people what I can do, what I could own, what I could buy, what I could drive, where I could live, all that stuff to prove that I got out of the hood. And I realized in my 30s, I was still empty. And then the second half of my life became about my legacy. What am I going to leave behind in this world that will speak of me after I'm gone? That's what you want to do. You want to leave a legacy. I'm challenging you. Stand up. Get yourself together. Square your shoulders. Let's go put that work in and let's leave a legacy. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys have an unbelievable day.